how do your local care managers build trust with seniors?
You can't say, look, trust me, and people will trust you. It's very important for us to ensure that there is a good fit.
How does your team handle 24/7 medical emergencies for parents?
In the first week of our relationship, we create an emergency protocol. So it lays out in absolute detail, nearest hospital, ambulance services, treating doctors.
Can you describe the convenience services you offer, which range from bill payments to visa and passport assistance?
Many times parents get old. Their ability to handle payments also reduces. We take over those responsibilities on behalf of the family.
Why is addressing loneliness and isolation just as critical as providing medical support?
As they grow old, their friends who visit them or who they could visit, that starts to reduce. Their mobility reduces. The opportunities that they have to go out come down significantly.
And then what advice do you give to NRIs who are worried about offending legal relatives by hiring professional help?
Care doesn't happen by excluding something, right? If you have very good neighbors and who want to be part of the care team, we include them in the care team.
Hi, I'm Manish Kapoor and welcome to the Kapoor Podcast. This is where we have real conversations with people who are shaping ideas, businesses, and communities. If you like thoughtful discussions and new perspectives, make sure to subscribe and follow. Let's get started. In this episode, I speak with Asheesh Gupta from Samarth Community, and this conversation will deeply resonate with anyone living abroad while their parents grow older back home. That constant guilt of not being physically present, missing small moments, worrying about their safety, health, and emotional well-being is something many of us carry silently. Since 2016, Samarth has been working to bridge exactly this gap, helping elderly parents in India age with dignity, confidence, and companionship while giving their children peace of mind from afar. We talk about the emotional realities of aging parents, the fear of elders living alone, and how Samarth is building a trusted elder care ecosystem that combines community, reliable services, and family quality support at home. This isn't just about care, it's about reassurance, trust, and knowing that your parents are not alone even when you can't be there every day. If this conversation speaks to you, subscribe to our channel, share your thoughts in the comments, and follow us for more conversations that matter.
All right, Asheesh ji, welcome to the Kapoor Podcast.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, Manish, for having me here.
Yeah. Doing this for the first time, so I'm here in Canada, you're in India, but it's really nice to connect with you.
Likewise.
Thank you. Okay, let's get started. So what is Samarth Community and what made you start it?
So, like most things, Manish, these things start with a personal experience. And let me first start with what is Samarth. Samarth, as you know, the name means, in Hindi, it means being self-sufficient, self-reliant. And what we are really trying to do is build a community of elderly and their families who want their parents to live independently. And the whole big idea is to do everything that would bring happiness and peace of mind to elderly and their families around the world. How it started was really from a very personal experience. So, my parents live in Dehradun, which is not far from Delhi, where I live, and my brother, who's a doctor, live. And a few years ago, my father had a stroke. They were in Dehradun. My father was retired. Even though we were not very far from our parents, but for the 6 hours of that, car ride when we were rushing to our parents, and my father was being hospitalized, my mother was dealing with all the things, and we were in the car praying that, everything is handled properly. And I think that's what made me think that there has to be a better way rather than, just pray and hope that things will be taken care of. And really, that was the start of Samarth. And over the next, it's been 10 years since we started Samarth. And I think today we offer this to Indians in 33 countries whose parents are across 350 cities in India.
Okay, perfect. And then how has the elder care landscape in India evolved since you launched your services, I think 9 years ago?
Yeah, so it's 10 years this year, and I
Okay.
think a lot has changed. Sometimes people told us that we were ahead of our time, but I think most things need to start and should start before they really become a big challenge or a problem. So we were indeed, I think we were early in the sense that the concept of professional elder care, helping people, aged parents live at their own home, was still nascent. People
Hmm.
used to mistake us for companies that would provide attendants or provide home staff, whereas our proposition was to really be an extended part of the family, right? And as you know, in most Indian families there's also a little bit of an expectation that it's the children who will look after their parents.
Hmm.
Yeah, and therefore, when we started, I think the families weren't as ready to, first of all, recognize the service that we provided, and two, for families to accept that there could be a professional alternative or an extension that they could have, beyond themselves or their immediate family. I think that has changed a lot over the 10 years. We've seen much more willingness to look at professional support. We've seen the elderly change a lot, who would otherwise earlier be very wary of getting any support,
Hmm.
now are much more open, because I think many more of them now want to live a fuller life, and they
Yeah.
understand that some sort of support can actually enrich the quality of their life.
Okay. Okay. And the online thing has worked in your favor because obviously there's been a lot of online, activity. So has that helped you as well?
So I think certainly to some extent, because a lot of things can be done online. But let me tell you something, and this is a little bit counterintuitive. Care fundamentally is a touch service, right? So you
Hmm.
can augment it, you can supplement it with technology, you can do things online remotely, but nothing really replaces touch and the fact that you want a caring person close to you. And therefore, what I think online services have allowed us to do is to bring that blend of tech and touch to parents and to families, which make sure that there is indeed that empathy which comes from human connect that is present. I think the other big driver of change was COVID,
Yeah.
because suddenly people realize that this notion that if anything happened I could fly back home and be with my parents was shattered.
Yes.
I know so many friends who couldn't do that, and
Hmm.
couldn't be there when their families needed it. So I
Yeah.
think that also in some ways created a lot more openness and need to engage with services like yours.
Okay. Perfect. And then you talk a lot about your 1, 2, 3 framework.
Yeah.
What is it?
So, it's Manish, that is the distillation of all that we have learned over the last decade. Because when we started out, and I was a consultant by background, so obviously wanted to look at things more analytically. And therefore, we said, look, let's first very sharply understand the problem we were trying to solve, And so we did a big research when we started out. About 1,000 people. These were elderly living in India, children in India, or living in other parts of the world. And we asked a simple question: what is it that would, make life better for you? What is it that would give you peace of mind that your parents are taken care of? And
Hmm.
similarly to parents, we said, look, what is it that will make you feel happier and more at peace? And interestingly, we got very different responses from children and parents. While children focused, and by children I mean people like us, who
Sure.
have elder parents, the focus for children was mostly around healthcare, emergency, getting work done at home, chores, mostly focusing on the physical aspect of the needs.
Hmm.
Whereas for parents, it was much more social and emotional. And as we researched deeper, it wasn't too many, it was just three things, people to talk to, right? Which
Hmm.
we get, I think we are all quite aware of that. The
Yeah.
second was places to go to. We hadn't realized how much the lack of mobility affected them and reduced opportunities to travel meant for them, right?
Hmm.
So this was a big thing. And the third and perhaps the most important one was this desire to continue to be needed. कि किसी को मेरी जरूरत है.
I'm valuable.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm bringing
yeah.
value to someone.
Yeah.
And especially for people who are left alone, when they lose a spouse, because prior to that, the spouse becomes the reason for them and gives them the sense of need. So we said, look, this is very insightful, and we came to sort of recognize that as the three joys. So those are the three joys. What makes elderly, our parents, happy.
Yeah.
The second thing, our research showed was two worries that elderly have. One is, of course, health, right? And it manifests in different ways. You would have heard people say कि भाई मैं चलता फिरता रहूं, किसी
Uh,
के ऊपर मुझे डिपेंडेंट ना होना पड़े, हाथ
hmm.
पैर चलते रहें. So,
Yeah.
health has a very important significance for them, lot of significance for them. The second was money matters.
Okay.
And there were a few things. One was that whatever savings they had, whatever wealth they had, lasts for their remainder of life. Because for many
Hmm.
of them, they are no longer earning, but they are living on the whatever they have created and generated over time. And so they have worry of unexpected expenses, maybe due to health, maybe due to other reasons. Yeah. So those were the two big worries: health and money matters.
Hmm.
Right. And the third important part of how elderly thought about, their life and what mattered to them was this one wish or one hope, which was to stay independent. Right. So that's the 1, 2, 3. The one wish, the two worries, and the three joys. And
Okay.
this has become kind of our mantra, and we tell every child that, look, if you want to take better care of your parents, make sure that you do things which enhance their joy, which reduce their worry, and which support their wish or hope, which is to be independent. So that's in a way, the Samarth credo or the our ethos.
Okay. Perfect. And then, why do you believe elder care is such a big challenge for this century?
See, I mean, I think the world is growing old, right? Some of the countries recognize this more than others. You have Japan at one end, Italy, US, a large swath of population is now getting older.
Yeah.
Uh, in India, which is seen as a young,
It is
country,
a much younger country, but
yeah,
the population is so, yeah,
right. And
really.
India has larger population of elderly than US and Japan combined. So, we really lose that fact in statistics, right?
Yeah.
Now, as the world ages, as more people grow older, we have to figure out ways of supporting them, of caring for them. And we worry about global warming, we worry about sustainability, but this is the other side of sustainability, which is important. How do we take care of such a large aging population, right?
Yeah.
So, to my mind, the problem is as big or as large as any other problem in this century.
How do you define the concept of sukoon, which is peace of mind for NRI families which are living abroad?
Yeah. See, I'll ask you, and I mean, you are a part of that diaspora. What keeps you awake at night? I mean, I'm sure among other things, it's also about your parents, who may be
Yeah.
happy, and you worry about that call that may come at an odd hour, right? So if the phone rings late at night in your time, I mean, you always wonder. I used to do
Yeah.
that when I was overseas, and also if you don't hear anything for a long time, again you worry,
Hmm.
right? And as Indians, I think we've all sort of grown up with this sense of responsibility towards our parents, right?
Yeah, and
And that,
that's kind of been one of the teachings as well. That it's kind of our responsibility to take care of aging parents, right? So from me, on a personal level, that's one guilt that I always carry. That I unfortunately cannot be with my father at this time. He's suffering, so I do carry that guilt with me. Thankfully for me, I have an elder brother who takes really good care of my dad, but not everyone can be as lucky.
correct.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of a paradox, Manish, because I have seen a lot of NRIs actually do more,
Hmm.
actually go out of their way to look after parents. But it's that sense of guilt that you mentioned, that even after doing so much, people feel that they aren't doing enough, right? And
Yeah.
the reality is that, look, you are lucky, you have your brother who's
Yeah.
there, but many families don't have that. And care is a little bit of a team sport, even if you were there. And I'm giving you my example. I was not very far from my parents, but even
Hmm.
then I couldn't do that on my own. So I think people need to be more, they need to understand and realize that it's not about feeling guilty. It's about, recognizing that there is help and they can rely on other people and, organizations to provide that support to their parents.
Perfect. So sukoon, basically, that's the sukoon you
That's the
bring for the
sukoon we all seek. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Perfect, perfect. And then how does Samarth serve as a trusted partner for children living in North America who cannot be physically present?
See, so I think what we have done and what I tell, my NRI friends to think about is, break care down into its different components. When we think about caring for parents, what comes to our mind, right? It's the things that we mentioned earlier, looking at emergency support, medical support, a bunch of convenience needs, from things as simple as bills being paid to, more complicated things like repairs, maintenance, paperwork. In India, you have to, if you are a pensioner, then you have to give a life certificate every year that you are alive, right? And companionship, the fact that people are lonely and they need engagement, both mental engagement, because that's important for mental health and cognitive health, and also social engagement, right?
Hmm.
So typically, what happened is, as we talk to people, people would rely on servants. People would, because in India you can still get them,
For
right?
sure. Yeah.
People rely on maids. People rely on neighbors. People rely on relatives, right? But all those structures are breaking down over time. And you always worry that, look, if something happens, would the neighbor be able to come in, right? Would
Right.
the relative have his or her own things to do, right?
For sure. Yeah.
And
Maybe there are.
therefore, that's where, we step in and we said, look, what would be like, you have your brother. You are a perfect example. You have your brother there, and therefore there could be no one more trusted than him to take care of your, parents, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what we try and do is assume the same role, to be the brother or sister which if you don't have, then we are. We think so.
Okay.
Our team thinks the same way. Our team has the same kind of people. They come from similar background like our clients, and have the same resourcefulness with which they are able to tackle things. So it's not about doing tasks, but it's about taking responsibility, and it's about
Okay.
creating a system which together can, take care of any possibility that may arise, whether it is emergency at one end or it is engagement and companionship on the other.
Okay. Perfect. And then, in what ways does your service transform an NRI's visit to India from a trip full of chores into a joyful family experience?
See, I think, I've seen so many people, and I was one of them, right? That
Yeah.
when I would visit my parents, I would always think about, oh, ये नहीं चल रहा, इसको ठीक करा दो, यहाँ पे, my father would also keep a list of things, and so most of our time would be spent in pursuing
Taking
these
care of all of
these
that.
these
Yeah.
tasks and taking care, right?
Yeah.
And so instead of it being a enjoyable opportunity to spend quality time with, my parents or, parents, it became like a checklist of things to do, right?
Okay.
Now, with the service, what happens is that all those things are taken care of
On a regular basis.
on a regular basis. So, whether it is
Okay.
chores, whether it is tasks, whether it is, things to be organized. And so, children are able to spend their time on, really quality conversations, going
Yeah.
things,
Traveling,
going to places.
connecting.
And it even affects the phone calls, because, otherwise your phone call would be, दवाई खा ली क्या, आपने
Mm.
करवा लिया, आपको ये चीज मिल गई, versus to
Yeah.
say, how was your day? What are you thinking of doing tomorrow? Are you, enjoying XYZ? So the
Right.
conversation changes completely with the support in
Right.
place.
Okay. Okay. And then you have a Samarth app, right?
Right.
And it kind of provides real-time visibility and updates for children living abroad, right? Can you talk about that a little bit?
See, so the so we the key question in the minds of an NRI always tends to be, सब ठीक ठाक है ना,
Hmm.
मम्मी पापा ठीक हैं, कोई उनको, that is the question, is all well? And
Yeah.
therefore, what the app does is that it provides the technology extension to the service, so that the child at any time can be assured and can see for himself or herself that how things are.
So can you give an example, like what happens?
So, for example, what it every time somebody from our team either visits or even has a phone call with the parent, it gets reported on the app, right?
Okay.
So the children have almost real time visibility in terms of what is going on, right? They get
Okay.
those reports, they get this. So oftentimes, our parents would only tell us things that they want to tell us.
Hmm.
With the app, they don't have to depend only on parents to tell them, right?
Okay. They
Because
can
through
see
our
what's
team
going
and
on.
the app, they can see how things are. They also get advance notice if they, sometimes our care managers would tell them that, look, auntie was not feeling very well. Maybe you should give her a call, right? Or she was worrying about this thing. Maybe it'll help if you were to have
That's
a chat.
posted on the app.
It's
That's
posted on the app. So that is
okay.
one thing. Then all the documents, reports are there, available there. Emergency contacts are there. You can chat with the team. You can call anybody on the care team. You can see the progress on various tasks. How are they going? So it becomes, one single interface in which the child and also the extended family, you can invite other family members on the app as well. So
I see.
everybody has complete visibility on what is going on and can
Okay.
also request for tasks, can talk to other team members. So it becomes a very
Okay.
handy way of ensuring that parents are taken care of.
Okay. And how does your team handles transactional tasks? Like, what do they do?
See, so it's again, it's a so every family has a care team and it comprises of different kind of people. It's
Okay.
all anchored by a care manager who's somebody who lives not far from the where the parents live. So she's the one who would visit the family, and I'm saying she because most of them are women, but they are backed by people who are experts in different things, right? So we have doctors, we have physicians, we have psychologists. We also have people who understand insurance very well, people who can get things done in any part of the country, and so on. So depending on what the task is, right, the care manager would request the appropriate person to take care of that, and then the process will happen. They would do whatever is required, and it will get reported on the app.
Okay.
So
And
you really
any
have.
the examples of transactional tasks, like what kind of tasks does a care manager do?
So it's a so what tasks we do for a family can range from as simple as making sure all bills are paid, utilities are up, internet is working, right? To medicines are procured and delivered, to setting up doctor appointments, taking them to a doctor's appointment, taking them to the hospital, taking them for a procedure, organizing tests at home, right? It could be renewing the passport, it could be applying for a visa. So, I mean, there are very few things which we haven't done over the last 10 years. So, whatever you can imagine, whatever a child would do for their parents, I think we have done almost all of that.
Okay, okay. And then who is a care manager? Like, do they have certain qualifications or do you have certain requirements for a care manager?
So the care managers are a very, very critical part of this whole, system. So I always call it a care system, in which there's a care manager, there are experts, there is technology, there are doctors. So it's a whole care system which there's a 24 by 7 helpline so that God forbid, 2 a.m. at night, something happens. There is an emergency response team which can take care of that for every family. The care managers are, the way to describe it is that they are people like us.
This episode is sponsored by Kapoor Law Firm, your trusted real estate law firm serving all of Ontario. Whether you're buying, selling, or refinancing a home or business, their expert team can guide you through every step. And here's a bonus for our listeners. Subscribers to this show can receive a one time coupon for their upcoming closing. Visit thekapoorpodcast.com to claim yours.
So most of them are women between 30 and 45 years of age. Most of them have had a professional career before, but for a variety of reasons now have decided not to do a regular job, but to do something high impact.
Okay.
And they come from similar families like our clients. Many of them are engineers, MBAs, there are some PhDs as well, right? And therefore, they are able to bring the same sensibility that their son or daughter would bring. Yeah.
Okay.
And many of them, by the way, are our clients as well. So we also take care of their parents and their in-laws.
I see.
Yeah. So it's a very closed network, and it ensures that there is a high degree of trust. There is a high degree of interconnectedness between the team, which we are able to then offer to our clients.
I see. So, is there one care manager per family, or there's a team of certain people who will be taking care of the?
So every family has three-tier support, in the sense that there is a one care manager, we call her a care counselor, who's a local person who lives, as I said, within half an hour of where the parent lives. And
Okay.
she's the one who visits the parents and is probably the closest to the parents. Yeah. Then there is a care leader who's a more experienced care manager. A care leader typically would have responsibility for the entire family. She's the one who talks to the children who may be in any part of the world, and overall makes sure that we are bringing the best of Samarth to every family. She also mentors and guides the care counselor because she has much more experience. And then there is a delivery manager for every family. A delivery manager is somebody who has years of 7-8 years of experience doing this, and has a very very good understanding of the needs of the elderly, can marshal resources from within the organization as needed, right? So it
Okay.
ensures also that the whole system is not dependent on one person, but that there is three-tiered support and they back each other up.
Why have you mentioned that most of your care managers? I think it's about 97% of your care managers are women, right? So, what is the reason behind that?
When we started, we didn't think like, we'll have only women or whatever. But if you can appreciate that in our work, two things are very important for every person who's involved, at Samarth. One, you need a very high level of empathy. है ना, कि आप मिल के बात कर सको, समझ सको, उनका दर्द समझ सको, उनकी ज़रूरतें समझ सको. And the second is you also need a very high level of professionalism, right? Reliability. And as we started to look for people, and we figured that we found the best combination with women.
Okay.
So we don't have a positive discrimination or anything like that. We are equally open to men, but it just so happens that women are just so much better at this. So
Okay.
today we have 650 such care managers across the country who do this work, and who
Okay.
do this also work. They're more as a also equally as a out of passion and out of commitment.
Okay. So, is this like, is your services based mostly in the A tier cities, or is it based in B, C tier cities as well in India?
So Manish, when we started, one of the design principles, at least, I was very keen on and clear about, is that we should be able to support any Indian in any part of the world to take care of their parents anywhere in India. Right? And so by design, we have made sure that the service is not limited to metros or tier 1 cities. Today, we offer this in 350 cities across India, which
Okay.
practically means that it is, most cities and towns. And some of them are very small towns. I mean, I give example of Lansdowne. I don't know if you know, it's a small, town in the hills.
Okay.
Where also we have our services. Similarly in the south, places like Tirunelveli and Navsari in Gujarat. So So these are some examples of smaller cities as well. So we are not an only metro or only tier 1 service.
I see. Okay, perfect. And then how do your local care managers build trust with seniors who may initially be reluctant to accept their help?
Well, that's a very good question, because in our work, I think the most important ingredient is trust.
For sure. Yeah.
So, and you can't say, look, trust me, and people will trust you. And elderly, particularly, are, reasonably skeptical. And, I would say not for the wrong reason. I mean, they have seen more, they've seen the world, and many of them have had experiences which make them wary of, other people. So there are 2-3 things which we do. One is the selection of people, right? And that's why it's very important for us to ensure that there is a good fit between what the parents need and the type of care manager or care counselor there is.
Mm-hmm.
So there's got to be empathy. There's got to be, some familiarity with the kind of situations that the parents are going through, right? So
Yeah.
all our care counselors, for example, have taken care of their own parents or elderly at their own home, and therefore, they can bring that very quickly to bear. The second is that we have a very detailed training and certification for our care counselors to be able to understand elderly, to understand both not only their said but also their unsaid needs, and to be able to respond to this. Right?
So is it like an internal training, ongoing internal
Yes,
training?
it's an internal training and it's a certification process. So
Okay.
there are 3 levels of certification that our care managers go through, and so they have the skills, they have the empathy and the cultural fit to be able to work with the elderly. And then it's a question of patiently working with them. So we don't expect them to start trusting us from day one. Of
Sure.
course, the children help, because the way
Yeah.
they introduce us, the way they, tell us about the parents and make the work of the care counselors more productive. I think those things help. But what we also try and do is, over the first, couple of months, make sure that the parents begin to see value in what we are doing.
Mm-hmm.
So whether it is doing something which they have always wanted to do but could not, or helping them with a difficult task, which sometimes the children only suggest to us. So once they see that here is a person who's genuinely willing to help them, it doesn't, they then, become very, very, very quickly, they become fond of the care managers. Like, I'll tell you, my family is also under our care, and my mother, I think, her first port of call is our care manager rather than calling me, because she tells me, she says, look, if I tell Ritu, I'm sure Ritu will take care of it. With you, I'm not sure.
Okay. That's
तो
good. That's
ऐसा भी होता है.
Yeah. So, have you encountered situations? Obviously, there would be certain parents who are extremely demanding, right? And, some would be, easy to work with. So, how do your care managers deal with demanding parents?
See, I think almost all parents are demanding. I think so.
Some more than the other.
Yeah, we go in with the assumption that, look, parents will be demanding, and yes, of course, I mean, that's really our commitment, that, look, we will work to your demand, and so it requires patience. I must tell you, I mean, all our care managers are better people than I am in terms of how they are able to deal with, elderly, to be respectful to them, yet be firm. So I think they do that very well. But you have to be patient. You have to give them time. You can't push them to do something. You have to allow them to pull you to, request, etc. And then, as I said before, once they see that you really mean well and that you are doing your best, they also become very loving. So I think we just have to, give the relationship a few months to really come to fruition, and then it's a very, very pleasant experience for both the parents and the care managers.
Okay. Now, how does your team handle 24/7 medical emergencies for parents while children are thousands of miles away?
So we have a dedicated team for that. There is an emergency response team which is trained to handle emergencies. And one thing I must, I always emphasize to children that look, you must prepare for emergencies in advance. That's what we do. So, in the first week of our relationship, starting the relationship with any family, we create an emergency protocol, right? So, it lays out in absolute detail things like, nearest hospitals, multiple ambulance services, treating doctors, existing conditions, medications, medical records, right? So, all that is in one place as part of the protocol. It's there on the app, so the family, everybody can see it, right?
Okay.
And we have a 24 by 7 emergency response team, which is dedicated and trained to handle emergencies.
So how does like if there's an emergency, the parent contacts the care manager or
So
the
it could
child?
happen multiple ways. Parents also have an app which has an SOS button. So it could come
Okay.
from there. It could come
Yeah.
in the form of a phone call from the parents, either to the 24 by 7 helpline or, to the care manager. It could come from the neighbors. It could come from the attendant. It could also come from the children. So it
Okay.
can be triggered by multiple, any one of these sources. Once
Okay.
it gets triggered, then the protocol is, activated. So, for example, I mean, I can give you an illustration. Let's say at 2 a.m., our emergency response team gets a SOS that, in that family, there's been a emergency. Immediately, we know where to call for an ambulance. So before anything else, we start the ambulance so that it can reach as soon as possible. In many cities, we have access to ambulances which come with a doctor.
Okay.
So in some cases, the doctors reaches the place, looks at the situation, and it gets handled right there. You don't even have to go to ER, right? But in case it is required, then they go there. While they are going to the hospital, our team talks to the hospital, is able to oftentimes get to the ER doctor, tells them what the situation is. The documents reach the hospital. We make arrangements with the hospital to receive the patient because, unlike overseas where a 911, if you get there, then the rest is automatic. In India, in many hospitals, it's not automatic. You have to
Yeah.
show paperwork, you have to deposit money, etc. So we do all of that and make sure that the patient gets the medical support. While all this is happening, we keep the family updated so they know what is going on. And we also take care of the other spouse who will, who oftentimes is equally traumatized, equally under stress. And so, we make sure that he or she is also comforted, whether is accompanying the other spouse to the hospital or whether it is at home, they get to know again whatever is going on and they are also taken care of. So that's how the emergency response team works.
Okay. Perfect. And then, can you describe the convenience services you offer, which range from bill payments to visa and passport assistance, right?
Yeah. So, many of these services are, as we understand the family better, we recognize that there are some recurring needs. And they also become important. You must realize that as, many times parents get old, they also become forgetful, so their ability to handle money, their ability to handle payments also reduces, mobility reduces. So we take over those responsibilities on behalf of the family. Let us say there are, things to be bought every month or staff has to be paid every month or, phone bills, electricity bills, utility bills have to be paid, rents have to be paid, etc. So we take care of that. There is a central team which keeps track of all the payments, all the bills, pays them, provides a consolidated statement to the family, right? And
Okay.
they reimburse those payments so that
So
it's
basically, you guys paid and then you take that payment from the child.
yeah.
So is
So
that how?
families, I mean, usually have they have a deposit with us, and so we use the
Okay.
deposit to make the payments, and then they replenish the deposit.
I see. I see. Okay. Perfect. And then, what measures do you take to make an elderly person's home fall proof?
So we have a very detailed audit of the home, which we do from wet surfaces. So it's a 50-point audit program
Yeah.
which we conduct, looking at things like flooring, lighting. It's a whole access.
Do that during your initial walkthrough?
Yes, so there
Oh,
is a audit visit which happens,
okay.
and the care manager does the audit of the home, and then we also recommend if there are any modifications to be required. Sometimes handrails should be put in place, or floors may have to have some anti-skid tapes, etc. So we recommend that, and
Okay.
if the family agrees, then we get that changed or installed as well.
Okay. And then how does Samarth support families who are dealing with specific health challenges, maybe like dementia or post-operative recovery?
Yeah. So, depending on the health conditions, our clinic, so we also have our own clinic with doctors and specialists. So that also comes into play. Specifically in case of cognitive decline, so dementia, etc.
Yeah.
So there, if there is already a treating doctor or a neurologist or a psychologist, then we work closely with them and agree on what are the protocols. We kind of embed them in the visits that our care counselor does, so that it all sort of comes together. In case something like that doesn't exist, then we involve our own psychologists. Many times, these things are cognitive decline, particularly affects the spouse and the other family as well, because they have to deal with it, and there are ways to deal with it. So we also conduct training and sensitization for the staff, for the family, so that they can cope with it better. In
Okay.
case there are other chronic diseases or conditions, then our doctors do what we call a health profiling. Based on that, a health plan is created, which may include ongoing tests or medications, etc., which then our care team makes part of the care program, and they are executed accordingly.
I see. I see. And then can you also explain your approach to setting up high-end medical care, such as home ICU, if it's required?
So, see, the desire for most elderly is to continue to be at home, continue to age at their own home. And therefore, sometimes, you have a situation where it demands more advanced care at home. And it can
Hmm.
come in the form of either palliative care, where you want to, the objective is to make the parent comfortable as possible. In some cases it may be due to recovery challenges, where for recovery you need to have equipment, or you need to have advanced nursing care. So we have partnerships with hospitals, healthcare providers, equipment providers, and we can, look at the whole spectrum. At one end, having a nurse at home who can
Hmm.
assist with, simple conditions, to the other extreme being setting up a full-fledged ICU at home, where with
Okay.
our partners who do an assessment, who figure out what all is needed in coordination with the doctors, and then we bring in the equipment, we bring in the nursing staff, and doctor visits if that is required, so that the system is complete.
Why is addressing loneliness and isolation just as critical as providing medical support? I know many parents feel lonely. So,
Right.
what are your thoughts on that? Yeah.
So, this is, when I think I mentioned this before, but so when we started, we did a big research to really figure out what is it that, elderly want, and what is it that the children want. And what we found, that for our parents, for elders, engagement, loneliness are a big source of, call it unhappiness, or challenge, because as they grow old, their friends who could visit them, or who they could visit, that starts to reduce, their mobility reduces, right? the opportunities that they have to go out come down significantly, right? And therefore, there is oftentimes it leads to a sense of depression. It leads to a sense of, loneliness. And that then begins to sometimes manifest itself actually in other health issues and other health problems. Right? So we strongly believe that addressing that feeling of isolation or loneliness is actually a very important first step, which can perhaps even reduce the incidence of illness and reduce the other medical problems. Yeah. And there is now enough research in the world, which has conclusively proven that the more groups a person is a part of, the more engaged a person is with other people, it not only increases longevity, it also enhances the quality of life.
Yeah, yeah. No, I totally agree with this. And then, what kind of travel assistance, rather, or social engagement opportunities you provide for younger seniors?
So it's a very personal choice, and it's very therefore has to be very personalized, because so I'll give you examples of 3-4 kind of things we do in order to make sure that there is enough social engagement, etc. One, we create opportunities for them to meet more like-minded people, and this takes the form of both online social events, get-togethers, meetups, etc. we do, as well as physical meetups. So we do these in multiple cities where people come together, so people who are under our care, and we have a very active community with almost about 40,000 elderly across the country. So they come together, they spend time, sometimes they find common causes to which they want to contribute, etc. So their opportunities to continue to meet new people, make friends, is there. So that's one thing we do. The second we do is, try to engage them in their interests which they have given up.
Can you just explore how you do it online?
So online, we have a very, so these are Zoom sessions. These are sessions which are conducted on Zoom, and there are multiple kinds of sessions. There are experts who come and talk. There are games. There is Antakshari. There is Housey. There are quizzes. So there are different ways of engagement. There are classes, yoga. So every morning, we have laughter yoga where people join in. So there's a
How
whole,
long are these sessions, like the online sessions?
typically 45 minutes to an hour.
Okay.
Each session is about that.
And it's daily, done every day or a few times a week?
So there are some days in which there may be multiple sessions, but typically, there would be at least 4 or 5 sessions in a week.
Okay.
So that happens online. And then the local meetups may happen in the larger cities. There may be 3-4 in a month. In smaller cities, it happens once in a month, where they come together and meet each other. We also do tours. We also do, these are senior specific tours, where, the pace of the tour, the kind of destinations we choose are more suitable for older people.
I see.
And they are group tours where people go in a group, and we have our care managers go there. It's like, if I was going with my parents, and these are also bespoke tours where, let's say, a couple or maybe 2 people, 2 friends decide to go somewhere with our assistance, and then we have our care manager, accompany them for that tour.
Okay. So on that note, how do you help seniors maintain their sense of independence while still providing the support they need?
See, so I think, as I told you, the very ethos is to protect their sense of independence. Yeah. And therefore, we never kind of try to impose on them, right? It's always pull based, where we want them to have a sense of control, that things are happening because they want it. So it's rarely that we would say, look, you must do this, or you must eat this, or you must go there, right? It's about enabling what they want to do. So the way we work with them is try for them to articulate what is it that they want to do, and then make that possible. right? So if they want to go somewhere, then we enable that going somewhere rather than say, come, we will take you there.
Okay.
Right? So it actually enhances their independence because things that they couldn't do earlier, they are able to do now.
Perfect. Perfect. That's good to know.
We are also proud to be sponsored by Kapoor Vastralaya with locations in Mississauga, Ontario, Surrey, British Columbia, and Fremont, California. For the finest selection of ethnic Indian clothing, visit your nearest store and explore their beautiful collection. And just for our subscribers, you can get a one-time discount coupon by visiting thekapoorpodcast.com and filling out the form.
And then you mentioned you started small. You're now over 350 cities in India, right? So what was the journey like?
So I think we built it patiently and slowly, because we discussed earlier that this is something that is built on trust, right? You can't build trust, in a very short period of time. Trust builds when people see you doing something consistently, day after day, year after year, and therefore patiently we build the network. We built a team of people who believe in the mission, right?
Which city did you start with?
So the natural place for us to start was Delhi HCR. That's where we were
Okay.
based.
Okay.
And we spent the first 2 years. For the first 2 years, we were only working in Delhi HCR.
I see.
Because we said, look, first let's very deeply understand what does it take.
Hmm.
And we were patient, we were bootstrapped, so we didn't have the pressure of investors to do something fast and rapidly. And we were all old. Four of us who co-founded Samarth, we were all older entrepreneurs, and so I think we had the luxury to build it slowly and not show undue haste in scaling up. And once over a period of 3-4 years, we figured that we had understood the problem, we had figured out a solution. That's when we started to expand. So a lot of our expansion then happened in the subsequent 5 years,
I see.
where we grew to multiple cities. We acquired, and clients came to us from multiple countries. Now we also work with a lot of large companies, banks, most Indian banks, large IT companies, conglomerates, as
So how
parent
does
care
it like
partners.
you associate with them and then they have their people,
Yes.
you offer some discounts or something?
Yeah, once we associate with the organization, their employees, and sometimes, like for banks, their customers have access to our services at a
Okay.
special packages, etc.
I see. I see. And then you've spoken a lot about your transparent pricing model and the fact that you don't have any hidden charges, right? So can you explain that a little bit?
See, so I mean, I think it's again an extension of the transparency that we want to create across the whole business model. And so we have a single pricing. Sometimes people tell us that, look, you should have a higher price for people outside India and a lower price for people inside India. And we say, look, why? We want to keep this affordable. We don't want anybody not to use this service because of money, right? So to give you a sense, I mean, all it takes to provide this service to your parents is like having a cappuccino with your father every day. That's the cost. Yeah.
Hmm. And can you give me a monthly number?
So about we our services start at about 120 US dollars a month.
Okay.
It covers most of the things that I have explained to you earlier. So all our services are included.
Packages, does this go up and
Yeah,
are
so
there more?
depending on the intensity of support, it goes up. So
Okay.
we have listed out, what the services are, what is included, and we are very transparent about all of that. How many
So all of
visits?
it is on your website?
Yeah, so it is on the website, and then when we have the conversations, we customize the plans.
Okay.
See, one thing we realize that you can't have a cookie cutter plan for everyone because no two families are the same.
for sure.
So somebody may have health as the predominant need, somebody may have emergency support, somebody may be looking more for companionship, etc. So we have multiple plans which we customize based on what the family's needs are, and the price is reflected in what is the intensity of our services, what all is included there, and if there are extras, then that also there is a price which is clearly mentioned, and that gets applied.
And where are your clients? Like, are they mostly in North America, India, different parts of the world?
So, it reflects where the Indian diaspora is. So, North
Everywhere.
America clearly is the largest, where most of our customers are.
So Canada, USA.
So, yes, US is US and Canada, and then of course there is UK, UAE, Australia. So, wherever diaspora is, 33 countries would, as you can imagine, include most of the world. But of course, US, Canada, US, UK are big ones for us.
I see. I see. Now, how does your touch and tech approach balance the need of tech savvy children with their tech wary parents?
Yeah, uh, I think you've kind of mentioned that in your question also, uh, because the level of comfort with technology is different, right, for different people. Even amongst the parents, there are some who are very savvy and are therefore they transact on apps, etc. But a large number are not so comfortable, right? So they don't trust technology the same way that, let us say, our children would. I mean, who are digital natives. So what we do is that depending on how comfortable the parent is with technology, they see that much technology, right? So there are some families in which they don't see the app at all. Their interface with us is, with the person, with the care counselor who visits them on telephone, or at most on WhatsApp. Yeah. Whereas children who are mostly in other countries, right, they are mostly on the app. So they get the mirror of whatever is happening on their app, and our whole system runs on the same technology backbone. So it's that, I mean, the way I describe it is the technology is the integrator, right? But we always put the touch first. So we lead with touch and then follow it up with technology.
Okay, okay. Like someone like for us, we are all tech savvy more or less, right? But if our parents are absolutely not using phones or using like older phones,
Yeah.
then how do you deal with that
So
situation?
they interact with us on phones. They interact with us in person. They
Okay,
have to. There is no requirement or necessity for them to engage with technology if they don't want to. Of course, one of the things that our care counselors often do is also introduce them to technology, because that also is part of keeping them independent. So if they are open to learning, then we also teach them about apps, teach them about mobiles, etc. And many of them quickly take to them. But we equally have families where they are not at all interested in technology, and we say, okay, fine. I mean, everything gets done through touch.
okay, that's great. And then, what advice do you give to NRIs who are worried about offending legal relatives by hiring professional help?
So this is, and I think we try and sort of explain this to families, that care doesn't happen by excluding something. So if you have family members who are caring, then we include them in the care team, right? If you have neighbors who are very good neighbors and who want to be part of the care team, we include them in the care team. It just strengthens the care team. So we've had situations where children who are overseas also bring in some of the other family members onto the app, onto the care team, and they also can participate, right? So think of us as enablers. Think of us as additional hands, resources, minds which are available to the family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so it all results in an even more robust support system and care system. Right.
Okay, so you work with the relatives
Work
as
with
well.
people. Yeah. We
Okay,
work with
okay,
them.
okay, great. And then just a couple of more questions for you, Ashish ji.
Yeah.
So, why do you emphasize preventive care such as 5 specific vaccinations and screenings for adults?
See, that is something I advise to all children, that for elderly, the answer to their health is not in the hospital. It is in keeping them out of hospital, right? Unfortunately, in India, prevention is not at all the focus, because you would know that perhaps in India the healthcare system is run largely by hospitals, right? And clearly hospitals run on people coming to the hospital and not keeping people out of the hospital. And so we have a very, very weak preventive care system. We have a very weak outpatient care system, primary health care system. In India, if anybody who can afford and has it, any problem, they go straight to the hospital. Yeah. So we emphasize a lot on prevention. In fact, our clinic, our own Samarth Clinic for Healthy Aging, focuses a lot on preventive care, and
Okay.
we have seen that there are 5 tests and 5 vaccinations
What are those?
which can dramatically reduce the likelihood of and the risks of hospitalization,
Okay.
right? And therefore we suggest to every elderly to follow that regimen to ensure that they
What
have
are those
those.
vaccinations?
So I'll try to remember, but
No
there's the
problem.
annual flu vaccine, which
Okay.
people should take, pneumococcal vaccine. Then there is 2 booster vaccines. One is MMR, the other is Tdap, and then there is shingles vaccine.
So you recommend that people get these?
So these 5, I mean, as in our discussions with our geriatricians and expert doctors, we figured out that these are 5 which most people should. These are helpful to most people,
Okay.
and not all of them need to be taken every year. There's only the flu vaccine which needs to be taken every year. Otherwise, the rest you can do. The one dose is enough.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. One last question for you, Ashish ji, before we leave. What is the most rewarding feedback you've received from a grateful client living overseas?
Every morning I wake up, I look at my WhatsApp. We have a group of all care managers there, and they share what they are hearing and what is the feedback. And I must tell you that every day there is something there which makes me feel that yes, whatever we are doing is worth it. Yeah. The biggest compliment we get is when people say, "Look, I didn't have a sister, and with Samarth, I think I've got a sister in the care manager." And I say, "Look, if you can think of us as family, then
Yeah.
we are doing something right." So that is something which is extremely rewarding to hear. When elderly tell us, the parents tell us that, "Look, uh, you know, you or somebody from your team is, I feel like they are my children." That makes us feel, really, really very good. That again, we've been able to build that trust with our elders, that they think of us as their children.
Yeah.
So I think those are the kind of things which we at least I feel very proud of.
Oh, that's amazing, Ashish ji. See, me being in North America, I think me and my friends, we were not even aware of this kind of a concept in India. We do see a lot of retirement homes in Canada and US, but I think this conversation and anyone who hears this information will bring the much required information, right? For people like us who now know that, there's this community which we can, or we have access to, and we can reach out to, and this will be quite beneficial for a lot of people.
No, thank you very much. And I think as a person who probably understands the Indian diaspora in Canada very well, I would love to hear your thoughts on what are some of the important issues or challenges that Indians in Canada see vis-a-vis taking care of their parents in India.
So, see, like you said, you touched briefly about COVID, and I know a couple of my friends who lost their parents due to COVID, right? And they were in Canada or US, and it was a very heartbreaking moment. The fact that they could not be with their parents or go to India, and it all happened so quickly, right? They couldn't reach out to anyone, even maybe their relatives were not in town or whatever the reasons might have been, right? So, we do, like I said, there was not much awareness of services like yours, right? So, for me, others who are listening to this, who get this awareness, maybe reach out and explore this further, I think it's going to be quite beneficial.
No, thank you. And for me, it's great to be able to connect with, Indians in Canada and North America. And anybody who needs any advice or just wants to, get some inputs on caring for their parents, feel free to reach out to us. We are available on, www.samarth.care.
We will have all your information on the YouTube description. So anyone who wants to reach out to you, all the description will be there.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, Manish.
Thank you so much, Asheesh ji. Any last piece of advice for our listeners?
No, I'll just say that, look, oftentimes we are torn between two decisions, right? One, we know that our parents need help and they need support or assistance. And two, we want to ensure that they retain their sense of independence. And we find ourselves in this dilemma on whether to, provide any assistance or not. And I've seen many, NRIs struggle with that, where they know that parents need something, but they, don't want to sort of force it. I think that is a time when we should think about the consequences as to guide our decision. That if they don't get the support, what are the consequences that could happen? And I think that will guide us to take the right decision. Once you decide that it is indeed beneficial for your parents to get assistance, then we can help you think through how to do that without affecting their sense of independence, right? So my last advice would be, don't wait for too long when the event has happened, right? Be proactive, take early decision, and prevent things from happening, prevent an event from happening. That's the best care you can, give to your parents.
Perfect. This was amazing, Ashish ji. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. Likewise.
If you've heard this podcast so far and it resonated with you, don't just move on. Like it, share it, and subscribe. This episode was sponsored by Kapoor Law Firm and Kapoor Vastralaya, and subscribers can get a one-time discount at thekapoorpodcast.com. Thanks for watching. See you next time.